everyone. Welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Whitney Bissell, and this is our daily show, bringing you all the latest movie news with insight into what it all means. Joining me, as always, is AMC Editor-in-Chief John Campea.
Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you from the Stream.TV studios here in Hollywood, California. If you're wondering, John, why are you sitting with your tablet on your desk, the reason is I've become so addicted to Simpsons Tapped Out, I have to play it right up until the moment we start shooting. So that's why this is here.
And also joining us today is AMC News Production Manager, Mr. Dennis Sin.
You forgot to mention our little interview yesterday.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Vince Vaughn and Chris Pratt. Those guys are as funny in person as they are on screen.
They were hilarious. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, last night, Dennis and I and a couple of the AMC stuff, we went back to our offices, and because Vince Vaughn and Chris Pratt came in to see us in our offices last night to talk about the new movie Delivery Man, and then they hung out in our offices for a couple hours to also do tweeting with live tweets with fans. And if you read the live tweets, they're funny, but the stuff they didn't allow themselves to tweet was like 10 times funnier. These guys are hilarious. We're going to be putting up, we're going to show the interview that we did with them next week sometime. But yeah, these are funny, funny guys.
Although plot details are still very hush-hush about the upcoming Colin Trevorrow Jurassic Park sequel, Jurassic World, the casting seems to be coming together. Actress Bryce Dallas Howard, who had been rumored to be up for the leading role in the film, seems to just have confirmed her involvement to USA Today by saying, quote, "They're relaunching the Jurassic Park franchise, so I'll be chasing dinosaurs. That's going to happen next year." Howard joins Iron Man 3 co-star Tim Simpkins and possibly New Girl's Jake Johnson. John, do you like the addition of Bryce Dallas Howard to Jurassic World?
Yeah, I remember when we talked about this when Dallas Howard was first kind of rumored to maybe be involved in this. Love her. Unabashedly, completely love Bryce Dallas Howard. I always like the performance she gives in everything she's been in. I even like the performance she gave as Gwen Stacy in Spider-Man 3, despite what a train wreck that movie was. And I will always look, she does not get the credit she deserves for the role she played in The Help. Her character and her performance in The Help was on par with every other performance in that movie, and you know, one of the other ones also won an Oscar, and I thought she was on par with it. Like, I thought she was just magnificent. So I think she's gonna fit in great. I still like the Ty Simpkins casting. I really liked the kid in Iron Man 3. I like the Jake Johnson rumor. That hasn't been confirmed yet, but the rumors persist, so I think that we're probably going to hear sooner rather than later that Jake Johnson gets solidified in there as well. So I got to tell you, I like this director. I like the way the cast is shaping up. I like the title of the film, and I like dinosaurs blowing up and destroying a lot of crap. So for me, I'm really excited about it. Dennis?
Yeah, I really like Bryce Dallas Howard as well. She's been in some really good movies like The Help and 50-50, but she also has been in some clunkers.
Yep.
Like you mentioned Spider-Man 3, but she also was in Terminator Salvation, which wasn't that great.
I totally forgot about that.
And the ultimate clunker, Lady in the Water.
Yes.
But those were not her fault.
Not at all.
Not
No.
her fault. She was still good. I really like the addition. But to what Chrisley had said in a previous episode, it's really about the dinosaurs. You know, they can cast whoever. I think Amy Rose had sent us something about maybe Jason Schwartzman being...
yeah, that's a very shaky rumor.
Yes, a rumor of him possibly joining. But all in all, it's just the dinosaurs.
It really is. I mean, look, you can do everything else wrong in this movie. You can get everything else wrong. If you have some awesome scenes with some awesome-looking dinosaurs destroying a lot of stuff in an awesome way, we'll be happy with it. So, yeah, I think we're off to a good start.
Well, it looks like it's the official end of a cultural era. Although DVD rental giant Blockbuster has steadily been closing down stores for years now, yesterday it was officially announced that the company would be closing the doors on all of their remaining 300 stores in the coming months, including their DVDs by mail service. However, the company will reportedly keep operating its online digital service. Dennis, what do you think about the demise of Blockbuster?
I didn't know they were still around. I mean, I thought they were, you know, done like several years ago. I mean, I guess if I knew they were still around, I would say it's inevitable. It's interesting because Blockbuster had the chance to buy Netflix in 2000 for about $50 million. It's worth billions of dollars now. Yeah. Gee, I wonder if they're regretting that decision. And it's their own fault. they saw the writing on the wall, and they chose to do nothing about it.
Yeah.
They sat around, they saw what the future was, and like, nah, we're going to stick with this. It reminds me a lot of Kodak.
Right.
Remember Kodak? Like, everyone's like, oh, everything's turning digital. Kodak's, no, we're still going to do film. We're still going to do film. So they got a late entry into the digital camera realm. They got, you know, they just kept trying to push all their resources into, like, getting people to still use film. And as you see, look, it's still being used today, but every year, like, you see the Arri Alexas, the Red cameras, everything is just starting to take over both movies and television.
Yeah.
So I think Blockbuster, apparently they're going to stick around as an online service. I just don't know how useful that's going to be.
The thing about Blockbuster is, and actually there's still one in Hollywood, I believe, and I know there's still one in Burbank that I drive by every once in a while. At first I thought it was a museum of some kind. But here's the thing. I remember when, you're right, the Blockbuster didn't take advantage of the deal to buy Netflix, and then not too long later they realized, oh, that was a mistake. Let's just copy what they're doing. And they started a DVD by mail service. And I remember at the time they did something, what I thought at the time was very, very cool. Blockbuster wanted to take advantage of the fact that they still had brick and mortar stores. So what they did was they offered, hey, get 3 DVDs at a time, kind of like what Netflix had at the time. But if you return the movies to the physical store, you can still mail them back, but if you return the movies to the physical store, you get a bonus DVD on top of it. So they were like trying to copy the best of Netflix and leverage the fact that they had all these brick and mortar stores. It was a really good idea. The problem was they had waited to the point where that almost everybody who was interested in DVDs by mail was already signed up with Netflix. It was way too little, way too late. It's the same thing with their digital stuff now too. Like they're going to keep operating as a digital streamer, but I think they were far too late to that game as well. I don't expect them to last very long. But I got to tell you, look, was it inevitable? Yes. We all saw that South Park episode where the one dad bought the Blockbuster for just $10,000 and it was like a ghost town, right? As inevitable as it was, I gotta tell you, there's a little pang of sadness in me. Because so much of my late teenage and early 20s years was spent with buddies or dates or whatever, going to the Blockbuster, picking out a couple of great movies. Some nights they had the specials, you know, 3 movies for $6, boom, 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 or 3 movies for $5, and you just grab a bunch and go home, order some ridiculously inexpensive and bad for you food, and just watch these movies. And that was so much of my life from like 18 to 25. And to see that they are now finally, you know, giving up the ghost, as it were, it's inevitable. But it's sad. So
yeah, the nostalgia factor is there for me as well. You know, even nowadays, well, before I would go home for the holidays, and then me and my sister would go to the Blockbuster and pick out a movie to bring home. I always had to find a movie that like everyone in my family would want to watch, which is like the hardest thing ever because everyone wants to see something different. So yeah, I'll miss that, but they're not going to keep it open just for you and me to like reminisce about the past.
Because how often do we go back to reminisce?
Yeah.
Never. You know, it reminds me, like 7 years ago, one of the most popular articles I ever wrote from my old website called the Movie Blog, it's going back like 7 years. I wrote this article because what was the big problem? You were just kind of describing it. You and your girlfriend want to get a movie? Fine. The two of you go to Blockbuster and you're there for an hour because you cannot agree on what to get. So I wrote this article on how to solve that problem. And the basic premise of my article was this. Okay. You take turns in this sense. Let's say Whitney and I were going to the Blockbuster. And so it's her turn. So what happens is Whitney picks 3 movies. And now I get to pick out of those 3. And then next time I pick out 3 movies and she gets to pick the 1 movie out of that 3. And it was a very popular article, all based around Blockbuster, but those days are now gone. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show called Buy and Sell. Here's how this works. There's a bunch of other items in the world of movie news. Whitney's got all of them listed down in front of her. She's going to run them down, and then Dennis and I are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Whitney, what do we got?
All right, maintaining his status as one of the busiest actors in Hollywood, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has just signed on to star in the upcoming book adaptation SEAL Team 666. Halfway through SEAL training, Cadet Jack Walker, still green but showing incredible promise, is whisked away to join 4 SEALs and their dog for a special ops mission. Walker soon finds himself in a whirlwind of otherworldly creatures and events as he discovers the true nature of SEAL Team 666. Battling demons, possessed humans, mass-murdering cults, and evil in its darkest and most ancient form, the members of SEAL Team 666 have their work cut out for them. And it's not long before they realize that the threat isn't directed against the U.S. alone. An ancient and deadly cult has far bigger plans, and Walker is at the center of a supernatural conflict in which the entire world is at stake. John buy or sell Johnson joining Team 666.
There is not a sliver of this that I do not buy. Of course I buy this. A SEAL military team specifically put together to fight demons? This is awesome. And then you put Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson into this? Of course this is a buy. There's nothing not to buy about this. You got that look on your face. I have a feeling you may not. But I think this sounds like a hell of a lot of fun. And you're right. Johnson is staying really, really busy. He just finished shooting Hercules. He literally got on the plane from his last day of shooting Hercules, flew to LA, got off the plane, and went to the set of Fast and Furious 7. He's shooting that now, and he's got like 18 things lined up at once. This dude is keeping himself really busy. This sounds like fun to me. I'm absolutely buying it. Dennis?
I'm actually buying it as well.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, this look on your face like...
I love The Rock. He's great. Even in movies that aren't that great, he's great in them. And, you know, at first I remember reading this and I was like, oh, there's a misprint here. Like, it's supposed to be SEAL Team 6. Like, it's supposed to be like this, I thought he was going to play the serious role.
Right.
They're going to do this. And this sounds even better. He's going to fight supernatural enemies, you know? I think it sounds great, and I'm looking forward to it.
All right, what's next?
The upcoming and long-awaited Sin City sequel is scheduled to hit AMC theaters everywhere on August 22nd, 2014, and it looks like the film has changed its name. Up until this point, the title had been Sin City: A Dame to Kill For, but according to new marketing art, which you can see here, it seems the title is Sin City: A Dame to Die For. Dennis, buy or sell the title change for Sin City?
Sell. It's so lame. So lame. As someone who's a fan of the comic book series, you know that name, A Dame to Kill For. It's like almost an iconic title. And to change it, for what reason? Maybe like they want to be more PC, like killing is, dying is more honorable than killing. Sin City is not an honorable story about honor. So I think it's totally lame, and I think they should change it back.
I'm going to buy it. Although I completely 100% agree with everything Dennis just said. I mean, it is ridiculous that they're changing it. It is stupid to change it. Look, but the reason I'm going to buy it anyway is because of this. The reality is less than 0.5% of us have read A Dame to Kill For. Less than 0.5% of the general movie-going audience are even familiar that there is a graphic novel called A Dame to Kill For. So for the vast majority of the audience, changing the title is not going to mean a single thing. It's not going to bother them as much as it bothers me, as much as it bothers Dennis. It is a safer title, although, as Dennis points out, Sin City is not a safe movie. It is not a safe property at all, but I get where they're coming from, and the reality is it is just a title, and except for those of us nerdy enough to understand how stupid of a title change this is, it's not going to make a difference. So while I agree, I'll buy it.
It's being reported that Twilight star Robert Pattinson is set to join writer-director James Gray's new film, The City of Lost Sea, and will star alongside Star Trek Into Darkness villain Benedict Cumberbatch. The film is based on the book of the same name, which is described like this. In 1925, Fawcett ventured into the Amazon to find an ancient civilization, hoping to make one of the most important discoveries in history. For centuries, Europeans believed the world's largest jungle concealed the glittering kingdom of El Dorado. Thousands had died looking for it, leaving many scientists convinced that the Amazon was truly inimical to humankind. But Fawcett, whose daring expeditions helped inspire Conan Doyle's The Lost World, had spent years building his scientific case. Captivating the imagination of millions around the globe, Fawcett embarked with his 21-year-old son, determined to prove that the ancient civilization, which he dubbed Z, existed. Then he and his expedition vanished. Cumberbatch will star as Fawcett, though there's no word as yet who Pattinson will be playing. John, buy or sell Pattinson joining the lost city of Z?
While I am actually really, really curious about the film, I mean, all these things that are kind of loosely based on true stories and true people and things like that, and I'm sure they're going to take a very fictitious direction with it, I'm going to have to sell it And it's because of Robert Pattinson. I mean, the question is, you know, do we buy or sell Robert Pattinson? And look, I'm not selling it because I'm a Twilight hater. I'm not one of these guys who anything associated with Twilight, just plug my ears and blindly go, it must be stupid. That's not what I'm saying. But, you know, in the work that Robert Pattinson has done since Twilight, I haven't been impressed yet. That's not to say he can't become great. That's not to say he doesn't have a great performance in him. And that's not to say he may not be great in The Lost City of Z. But at this point, looking at the performances he's given us so far, even in his post-Twilight stuff, I'm not impressed. And I think you put him alongside a talent like Benedict Cumberbatch, I think his weaknesses as an actor are really going to be exposed heavily. So for those reasons, for now, I'm going to sell it. Dennis?
I'm going to buy it just because, yeah, I'm not a fan of Twilight at all. And I'm not even really a fan of Robert Pattinson. But he's at least trying to do some different things.
True.
With Cosmopolis and
which is very different.
Water for Elephants, and now something like this. He's not trying to like stick in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And then obviously I really like the premise of the story. I like these lost civilizations and Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah. He's a win for me in like almost anything that he does. So I'm going to buy it.
All right.
Right, the first trailer for the upcoming film Winter's Tale has hit the web. The film stars Colin Farrell, Jennifer Connelly, William Hurt, and Russell Crowe, and is set in a mythic New York City and spanning more than a century. Winter's Tale is a story of miracles, crossed destinies, and the age-old battle between good and evil. Dennis, buy or sell this trailer for Winter's Tale?
I'm going to have to sell it. It has a great cast: Colin Farrell, Russell Crowe, Jennifer Connelly, the hot young daughter from Downton Abbey, right. Sybil. But it just looks so generic. I was watching, like, haven't I seen this movie like a million times before? And Akiva Goldsman is writing and directing, who I actually like. He's a hit and miss type of writer. He wrote Batman and Robin, so that's not too good. He wrote like Lost in Space, but he's written some really great episodes of Fringe. And he wrote A Beautiful Mind, which he got an Oscar for, and Cinderella Man, which I thought was a very underrated movie.
Oh, I thought it was brilliant.
So, but just based on the trailer itself, I'm going to sell it.
I gotta buy it. I loved this trailer. I ate it up. When I was feeling a little, okay, boy from the bad part of the tracks stumbles across a beautiful girl, seen this. Wait a minute, it's 100 years later? What? I was actually really captivated by it. I found myself being really drawn in. I was now fascinated. The Russell Crowe character, obviously there's more going on to Crowe than just some average thuggish henchman kind of guy. I gotta tell you, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So for me, a Winter's Tale trailer is a buy. All right, folks, we've reached that part of the show called Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a topic or a question you would like us to address on the show, feel free to email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Every day we pull a couple questions out and address them on the show. Whitney's got a few of them pulled out right now. So Whitney, what do we got?
Okay, Super Saiyan Dakota writes, "Hey guys, love the show. I was wondering why these big movie companies do straight to DVD. Why not only make movies that are good enough for theaters? Don't get me wrong, I love the straight-to-DVD DC Universe movies and hope they never end. But what about live-action movies? They can't be cheap. How do they plan to make that money back?"
Interesting name, a little Dragon Ball name there in the title. It's a great question, and one that we actually get a lot. Actually, I got a lot of these questions come to me when the new Chucky movie came out. And the new Chucky movie, of course, is a straight-to-DVD film. And a lot of movies are straight to DVD and home video of various kinds. The DC animated films are all straight to home video and things like that. First of all, there's two situations in which a film goes straight to home video. Number one, oops, and number two, planned. So the oops ones happen quite frequently. You know, a producer wants to make a film with visions in their heads of it becoming a nationwide blockbuster hit. And it turns out that the distributor or the studio, or there's no buyers for the film, or they realize, nope, this isn't worth putting in theater, whatever, for whatever reason, and so it goes straight to home video. Then you get a lot of stuff like, what do you call them, like Chucky or the DC animated films, where it was always, they planned to make these to put them out on video. And those are most of them. They're usually planned to go to straight to home video. Putting a film in theaters is an expensive proposition. a very expensive proposition to get a movie, put it on 1,000 screens across the country, spend $30 million to market the damn thing, because if you're going to put it in 1,000 screens, you got to make sure people know that it's on 1,000 screens and entice them to go to see it. So that's a really huge proposition. Now, what you can do then is, look, I can make this movie, this really cool little movie, for about $3 or $4 million. I can make it for about $3 or $4 million. It's not going to have national appeal. It's not going to be in 1,500 screens, but I can make this, and we think we can make enough money to make it, this $3 or $4 million film, profitable. So you look at something like Chucky, because the last couple of Chucky films that hit theaters, I believe it was in 2000 and 2004, I think those are the 2 years, maybe a little bit later than that, but they both lost their studios a lot of money. So no distributor, no production studio is going to put in $25 million to make a Chucky movie when they know it's going to lose film, or it's going to lose money. They're just not going to do it. But you make a Chucky movie for like $4 or $5 million, use the name recognition, not have to put $20, $30 million behind marketing, not have to get it distributed to 1,000 theaters across the thing, and suddenly now you're in a position where all you need to do is make about $7 million and you're profitable. And that's great. So the question some people then ask me is, well, why not take that $5 million film and put it in theater? Instead of marketing for $20 million, put $5 million in marketing behind it, maybe make $10 million and still make $1 or $2 million of profit. Well, because movie theaters aren't in the business of putting movies in their theaters that are going to make sure that the theaters are 90% empty. Movie theaters want full houses. They don't want a movie that's just going to draw in 15 people for a screening. There's another part of this, because a lot of people ask me sometimes, you know, a lot of the DC animated films are really, really great. Why don't they get put in theaters? And here's why. I watched just recently on Netflix, the Wonder Woman DC animated movie, with Nathan Fillion doing the voice of her love interest and stuff like that. I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. But there's also an issue of expectation. I'm sitting down to watch an animated film on Netflix. My expectation level's around here, and from what I expect from it to be good. And so I watch it and it entertains me, and that's great. But I gotta tell you, as much as I like that Wonder Woman movie, as much as I liked a lot of the Green Lantern stuff and the Justice League stuff and the Superman stuff that I've seen on Netflix, if I had paid $10 to go into a movie theater to watch it, I would have walked out thinking that was not so great. That was not going to the movie's quality. I wouldn't have thought that. So there's an expectation difference. But DC knows, hey, couple $1 million, put these animated films together, make them really fun for the fans, put them on Netflix, we get our money back, we make a little bit of profit, everybody's happy, and it didn't need to go into the big theaters, because in the theaters there's a different level of expectation. Anyway, so there's a whole slew that goes into a decision about how a film doesn't make it into the big screen. Should they even try to put it on the big screen? Dennis, how do you see this whole thing?
Yeah, it's about the money, and it's like the ones you're talking about, the oops ones, sometimes you'll see some big stars in them. And, and what it really is they made this movie thinking that it was going to be great, and then it ends up, they realize it's not so good, and they know that no one's going to pick it up to put it into theaters, and they're like, well, we need to get some of our money back. So they go there.
Going back to Blockbuster for a second, you always knew, because there would be those nights, you're walking through Blockbuster, it's like, and you pick up this movie you'd never heard of. So wait, Bruce Willis, Michael Caine, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Julia Roberts, and I've never heard of this movie. Flag. So anyway.
Yeah, so that's how those go. And then the ones that are meant to be straight to DVD, yeah, it is a lot of name recognitions. That's why you see a lot of those American Pie movies. They aren't like official sequels, they're just spin-off, like Bandcamp and whatever the hell. So they just use that name recognition from the bigger movie so they can spin off these things and you know, get people, you know, like me that are bored on like whatever, a Sunday afternoon or something like that.
Tooth Fairy 2.
Yeah, and like, bam, I'll watch this. I'll see what this is about. So yeah, it's about the money.
All right, what's next?
All right, Hilmo M writes, hey guys, do you think that Duncan Jones could evolve into one of the best directors, or at least a well-recognized and well-respected director? He has only made 2 feature films so far, Moon and Source Code, and both of them, in my opinion, are masterpieces. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree with you about Moon. Moon is a breathtaking film that I was a little bit late to the party. Actually, I saw it just after the first wave of people, everybody saw it. So everybody already knew how great it was. I checked it out. It's magnificent. Source Code, I'm not with you on Source Code. I liked Source Code. I wouldn't say I was thrilled with it or I thought it was a masterpiece by any stretch. It's a movie that had its flaws, but it's a very creative film. And, you know, I like what they did with it, and I enjoyed watching it. I won't watch it again. So I don't know that I would say both of his films have been masterpieces from my point of view. The really interesting thing here is Duncan Jones's next movie. And Duncan Jones's next movie is Warcraft. I think we're going to tell a lot about where his career is going to go from here. Warcraft doesn't even have to be freaking amazing. But if he can take this world, a video game movie, almost nobody's taken a video game movie and made it, or a video game and made it a watchable movie yet. If he can do something really good with Warcraft, I think that'll tell us a lot more about his future. But for me at this point, it's far too early, 2 movies in, to appoint or anoint Duncan Jones as being, you know, he'll be one of the greats. I think it's way too early to say that, especially after, I think, a mixed bag between Moon and Source Code. We'll see what he does with Warcraft and what he does after that. Dennis, how do you see it?
Yeah, I loved Moon as well. I own it on Blu-ray. I watch it a lot. Source Code I saw and I liked it. I thought it was solid. It's definitely not on that same level as Moon. I do think, though, if you see like his style and the way he does things in his movies, that he has the potential of being a really good to great director in the future. He has all the capabilities. He can get his actors to, you know, to bring out the emotion that he needs. He knows how to put the scenes together and put the story together in a logical and that makes sense. And so yeah, he's not. You can't put him on the level of let's say a Chris Nolan or Aronofsky yet. Right. But I think he has that potential. And like you said, with Warcraft, that's going to be interesting because it's such a big budgeted movie.
Yeah, which he hasn't done yet.
No, he hasn't. So how is he going to handle that? Because that's when all the politics come into play. And where a director, it's not his creativity that's going to be tested. It's going to be more of all these other side things. So hopefully he gets the job done. Yeah,
the budget of Warcraft, the scope of Warcraft, and the pre-existing popularity.
Yeah.
Fan base, it's all new things to him. So I think this is going to be a really good measuring stick for Duncan Jones. I hope he does great. All right, folks, that'll do it for us. We've run all out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank, sitting to my right here, he's the production manager of AMC Movie News, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you online?
You guys can find me on Twitter @ThinkHero and on YouTube, ThinkHero Pro.
And of course, our lovely host today, Miss Whitney Bissell. Whitney, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram @WhitneyBissell.
And you can find me on the various social media networks @JohnCampia. Thank you so much for joining us today, guys. Listen, for those of you who want an audio-only version of the show, look in the description of this video, and you can find links to our Stitcher Radio and our iTunes, so you can just listen to us on the way to work or whatever. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the world of movie news. And, of course, make sure you follow us on Facebook and on Twitter and all the great, wonderful stuff. So thanks so much for joining us again today, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until tomorrow, bye-bye.
If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.